Hello. Welcome to WyzGyzEntertainment. This is your host, Wyman. So by now, probably everyone in the world has heard, or at least anyone who's following Fandom Menace has heard that, Zack Snyder had the opportunity through the help of a lot of fan support to re-release the Justice League as he originally presumably intended. So that's what is referred to as the Zack Snyder Justice League. Well, the Snyder cut of Justice League. Going back a little bit, Zack Snyder was originally helming the Justice League movie, and then he had a family tragedy, and he had to leave the production, and the studio execs decided to bring Joss Whedon in because they saw how he was successful in realizing the Avengers. Excuse me. So they figured, he might give it his magic touch, if you will, and make it successful like the Avengers. But then Justice League came out and wasn't very, it was viewed as a poorly made movie. It wasn't very successful. I mean, it made a lot of money, but it wasn't very successful in the long run, and it got lots of criticism. So people were wondering, well, how did Zack Snyder envision it? How would he have done it? So a movement started, released the Snyder Cut, and eventually, I don't know if Warner Brothers caved and gave in to the fan support of the idea, or whether they were from the get-go using it as a political move because they didn't have much else in the way of content that was appealing enough for people to sign up for HBO Max. So they gave Zack Snyder the go-ahead. It said that when Warner Brothers initially reached out to Zack Snyder, that he was going to, that they were interested in releasing a Snyder Cut, that they were initially trying to go as cheap as possible, not pay Zack Snyder any additional money to complete the movie. It was thought that all the footage was already there and just simply needed to be edited back into the movie. But instead, Zack Snyder appears to have added a bunch more scenes, a lot more character development, a lot more footage. And supposedly a lot of the special effects and stuff were not fully rendered or finished. They were more like rough cuts. So Zack didn't agree to come on board until he had approval to spend more money to, fully realize the vision. So fast forward to the days leading up to the premiere on HBO Max, and Geeks and Gamers, a collective of people from widely different backgrounds and views and opinions. They had an opportunity they decided to do like a fundraiser to support an organization that is near and dear to Zack Snyder's heart, which is an organization to combat or to support suicide prevention. And there was a lot of talk behind the scenes. They ultimately decided, excuse me, they ultimately decided to do a live stream. They did some build-up streams leading up to the day, and then they did a final one the day of to, if I understand, take all the donations and put it 100% of the donations to the Suicide Prevention Fund. And they even did all this hard work and compiled a bunch of pieces to auction off. So Geeks and Gamers decided to put it on WyzGyz. I guess he's a football player. I don't really know anything about him other than that. I think he still plays professional football, but I don't know. He might be retired for all I know. But he's part of the Geeks and Gamers team. And ultimately, they decided to put it on WyzGyz stream because he was instrumental in, putting this all together, along with a couple other guys. I think Ryan Kinnell and who's the other guy? Lethal Lightning. They were all excited about this event. So during the live stream, leading up to when, I would recommend you go check out this stream. I think it's still up, and it would be on WyzGyz's channel. I bet in YouTube, if you do a search for Geeks and Gamers and Zack Snyder's Justice League, it'll probably come up. I wouldn't see any reason why they'd want to delete it, because it is what it is, and it's in a sense a part of history. So they did the stream, right? And they raised I think about $60,000 to $80,000 for suicide prevention before Zack Snyder joined the stream. And then Zack comes on, and at the very start, he says something. Before we go any further, I'd like to. Well, I'm going to paraphrase because I won't be saying it verbatim, but he says something to the effect, I wanted to just make it clear, you probably saw that the Geeks and Gamers logo is on this charity. I am not affiliated with or part of Geeks and Gamers. We discussed this. It's not part of this, and I'm not part of it, and how did he phrase it? Shoot. Well, anyway, he more or less denounced or disassociated himself from Geeks and Gamers. And then moments later, he starts talking about an event that happened previously, a short while ago. I don't remember if it was like the previous day or two ago, or if it was actually literally that same earlier that same day. But it was something about some crazy person going into massage parlors and killing Asian women at several massage parlors. And then Zack said something to the effect, I don't think that I wanted to make it clear that I don't support hate or physical harm to any race or gender or what have you. And as a father of Asian children, I do not approve of what happened. And that alone came off really bad because it made it sound like they initially, at first hearing or whatever, a lot of people took it to mean that he was calling Geeks and Gamers a hate group, and which, in my opinion, doesn't make any sense because you can't really make that correlation when Geeks and Gamers is helping run this whole huge event of a charity live stream where they're trying to, combat suicide. And suicide affects any race, any gender, any culture. So that's direct opposite to being a hate group. But, the more I rewatched Zack Snyder's portion, the more I thought, okay, my personal take is that there was a comment he mentioned. He said something in his messaging that was that we talked about it or we discussed it, and that led me to believe there were some conversations going on regarding branding and whether or not, I guess, the Geeks and Gamers logo was supposed to be on the charity, or whether it was or was not supposed to be. And then so, at that point, I needed to take a step back and, collect my thoughts. And I was like, well, we shouldn't jump to conclusions because it sounds like there was some sort of agreement, but it's not clear whether someone broke their end of the agreement or what have you. And then the other part was the, him talking about being against hate mobs and violence towards other races and cultures. Because it seemed like a totally different tangent, I didn't view them being connected to each other. Rather, I think it was he just spouted off two unrelated things. I guess you might say I was kind of giving him the benefit of a doubt. But at the same time, I was it seemed like there were two different tones to, I don't know. He looked kind of uncomfortable. I know a lot of people have commented that he looked uneasy, uncomfortable, and I imagine he was. I don't know if he was told prior to coming on the stream that SJWs consider Geeks and Gamers, like racist, sexist, misogynist, what have you, and that they're a hate group, which they aren't. And if he truly believed that, I would be inclined to think that Zach wouldn't even come on the stream at all to fully disassociate himself from it, and just to avoid it altogether, despite it being for a good cause. There's been a lot of talk after the fact that, Warner Brothers probably went to all their staff and employees and directors and actors they work with and asked them all to recite more or less the same denunciation of the horrible incident of all those killings at the massage parlors. And that's quite possible because someone actually pointed out, I don't remember if it was Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers or just another creator, but someone pointed out that it was nearly the same exact verbiage as what Kevin Smith said previously, almost word for word. So that is good reason to think that everyone at Warner Brothers or associated with Warner Brothers and their media partners was giving a blurb to tell everybody in the mainstream, hey, we don't support this. This is unrelated to us. Don't blame us for anything associated with this, and so on. So that took place, and again, I think Zack Snyder might have been peeved that I guess Zack might have been peeved that the Geeks and Gamers logo was associated with the charity, but I personally think they had every right to put the logo there. I mean, again, I don't know all the details, all the behind the scenes conversations that took place, but if he truly disliked or disavowed Geeks and Gamers, I don't think he would have stayed on the stream as long as he did. I think in total he stayed on for about 50 minutes to an hour. And, he actually talked about, how excited he was for this to finally be released. And he mentioned early on in the stream that he had about 45 minutes because he was about to do the quote unquote COVID version of the red carpet. So I still think that if he were 100% against Geeks and Gamers and what they stood for, then he wouldn't have even stayed on the stream after he did that quote unquote renunciation of Geeks and Gamers. I know it looked really bad and it seemed like the two were clumped together, so people thought there was a connection between the two and that he was making that association. But I personally don't think that was the case. I could be wrong. I think that, like many people, he might not be the type who can think well and quickly on his feet. And it was his messaging and responses were poorly worded. So that added fuel to the fire. And then after that, suddenly everything was more lighthearted. Everyone was freaking shocked in the panel. You could see, well, either shocked or sad and depressed because it made everyone feel like chumps. I don't know. Maybe I have the wrong take, and maybe Zack and Warner Brothers and Hollywood are still doing everything they can to put us fans down and just use us for monetary gain and support. But as I keep pointing to, I don't think Zack would have stayed on as long as he did if he were fully against us. He seems to have at least some appreciation, at least compared with other directors and Hollywood personalities. He seems to have at least a certain amount of respect for the fandoms. To what percentage or extent is to be debated, but yeah. And then later on, people also noted that as soon as Zack Snyder said that, the super chats and the donations came to a screeching halt, and they paused a while to try and figure out what on earth to do or say, and everyone was more or less silent for a while, and until they got the stream moving again, and they did the best they could, all things considered. I think it sort of made Geeks and Gamers look bad, especially when Uche blew up at the chat. And I think part of the problem, live chat and live streams are incredibly fun and amazing, but sometimes you can get caught in instant reactions and instant overreactions. And in that case, people were kind of stunned, like a big slap in the face when Zack Snyder said that thing. And I think people's initial reactions were first stunned and then anger, because it did sound initially like he was connecting Geeks and Gamers to hate and violence. So in the heat of the moment, I think there was a lot of anger, and that's why chat blew up. And there was also a part of the community that thought that someone on the panel should have made some comment, effectively stating that, who was it that said that? Oh shit. I think on the Jack show, Anna, that Star Wars girl, and Cecil of Cecil Says, we're discussing it, and I think it was it Anna who said it real eloquently, and to the point and matter of factly, where, had someone been there to say, immediately with after Zack said his thing at the beginning with the denouncing and whatnot, shit, I'm blanking out. So yes, Zack. Shoot. We at Geeks and Gamers are absolutely shocked at the recent events, and we also we agree that there's no room for hate and violence towards other peoples, other races, other cultures. And our hearts and minds reach out to all those who experience loss. And, by kind of addressing it immediately, but not spending loads and loads of time on it, you get to the point, you state matter of factly, and then you move on. You don't belabor it. You don't drag it on and on. Yeah. Go watch the latest Jack show. It was on Anna's channel. So you'll want to go to that Star Wars Girl live channel where she re-uploads her live streams for the Jack show. And go to, I guess the last, is it the last 2 hours of the Jack show? Because they discuss it while she reads super chats. And then she reads some other super chats, and then I think the topic comes up again and she discusses it some more. Also, another good resource for learning about kind of what happened behind the scenes to some degree. Go to Jeremy's Geeks and Gamers channel, because he posted a video and there was some discussion as to whether or not how they were going to handle this. Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy himself took a moment to discuss with Zach prior to the event on 1 or 2 occasions, I think. He's saying, look, be prepared. You got to understand that Geeks and Gamers is like a target for SJWs for being very opinionated and being very diverse. And, if you want to move forward with this, just be mindful of that. Be prepared for some possible flack or blowback or what have you. And then according to that stream or that video that Jeremy shared, which was informative, he said something like it was actually Zack Snyder himself who kind of dropped the bomb that he was doing something with Geeks and Gamers coming up. And that it hadn't been finalized. It's still in the works. But Zack Snyder himself was one who initiated the news, the unofficial announcement that they were doing something together. So a lot of that responsibility does fall on Zach. But that's a very informative video. Go check that one out too. Yeah, so that's my say. You may agree, you may disagree. Drop some comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. I still stand with the Fandom Menace. Right now, I still kind of give Zach the benefit of a doubt. I do think he poorly worded things and that he spoke before he thought, or just isn't necessarily that good at speaking on his feet on the fly. And he often poorly words things, and he throws that whole thing about seeing that blurb about the shootings at the massage parlors. Yeah, that was poor taste, and I personally, I would hope that if I were ever in the position that he is, his level of notoriety, I probably wouldn't want it, but if I were, I would hope that I wouldn't, lower myself to spout something like that, simply because my bosses or handlers or what have you in Hollywood told me to say that. It just makes you sound like a corporate shill. But, you experience that kind of stuff in the private sector as well all the time. You're expected to say only good things about everything your company does, even if you disagree with it. So yeah, that's my take on it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And drop some comments down below the video. Let me know your thoughts. Take it easy now. Bye.